The calm before the storm. Emily Harper's alarm buzzed at 4:45 a.m., breaking the quiet stillness of her modest one-bedroom apartment. She stretched and let out a yawn, mentally preparing herself for the day. The city outside her window was still cloaked in darkness, but Emily had a routine to maintain. Working as a concierge at the lavish Sapphire Heights Hotel, she knew her days were long, demanding, and occasionally thankless. Yet it was her source of livelihood, and she took pride in her ability to brighten guests' stays with her exceptional service. Emily moved with quiet efficiency, brewing her morning coffee and scanning through the list she kept on her fridge. The note was written in her own neat handwriting. Morning prep, pack snacks, check mom's meds and schedule. Shift starts at 7 a.m. Her life revolved around these small rituals, which helped her stay grounded. Emily's mother, Margaret, was recovering from a recent stroke, and her brother, Ethan, a college sophomore, depended on Emily's job to pay for his tuition. As she packed her bag, her phone buzzed. It was Carla, her closest friend at the hotel. Carla, hey Em, don't forget, big VIP event today. Buckle up. Emily, thanks for the heads up. Let's conquer another day. Emily grabbed her bag, kissed her mother's forehead, and promised she'd call to check in during her lunch break. The walk to the bus stop was tranquil, the streets still waking up to the rhythm of morning joggers and the occasional clatter of delivery trucks. The Sapphire Heights Hotel was the crown jewel of the city, a beacon of luxury that attracted the world's elite. Emily walked through the gleaming revolving doors, greeted by the cool blast of air conditioning. Morning, Marco, she called to the cheerful doorman. Morning, Emily. You ready for the chaos? He teased. Emily grinned. Always. She clocked in and headed to the staff room to change into her uniform. A sleek navy blazer paired with a crisp white shirt and a gold name badge that read, Emily Harper, concierge. As she adjusted her tie, Carla popped in, her expression a mix of excitement and nerves. VIP alert, Carla whispered. Some bigwig family is staying here for a week. Full security detail and everything. Emily raised an eyebrow, but kept her composure. High-profile guests weren't new, but they always brought unique challenges. Got it. Let's make it seamless, Emily replied confidently. The morning rush was in full swing by the time Emily returned to her desk. Guests filtered through the grand lobby, some checking out, others inquiring about spa appointments or restaurant recommendations. Emily managed it all with practiced ease. Around mid-morning, the anticipated VIP family arrived. Laura and David Montgomery stepped into the lobby, their young daughter Grace trailing behind them. The couple radiated an aura of sophistication, but their smiles were warm, not pretentious. Welcome to Sapphire Heights. I'm Emily, and I'll be assisting you throughout your stay. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to make your experience exceptional, Emily said with her signature bright smile. David nodded approvingly. Thank you, Emily. We've heard great things about this place. I'm sure we're in good hands. Emily helped them settle into their penthouse suite, ensuring every detail was perfect. She arranged for a private chef to prepare their meals, recommended exclusive activities for their daughter, and even secured tickets to a sold-out theater show for the couple. By lunchtime, Emily had already made a lasting impression on the Montgomerys. Grace, shy at first, had warmed up to Emily, eagerly showing her a new coloring book as they crossed paths in the lobby. As the day wore on, Emily noticed her manager, Mr. Connors, hovering near the reception desk. His hawk-like gaze made everyone uncomfortable. Known for his authoritarian style, Connors rarely had a kind word for anyone. Emily, he barked, motioning her over. Yes, Mr. Connors. I need you to review the booking discrepancies for the Montgomery family. There's a billing issue. Fix it, he snapped. Emily maintained her composure. Of course, sir. I'll handle it immediately. Behind her calm demeanor, she felt the familiar twinge of anxiety Connors often provoked. Still, she focused on the task at hand, ensuring every detail was resolved efficiently. By evening, Emily was exhausted but satisfied. She had managed to juggle demanding guests, a temperamental manager, and a packed schedule without a single complaint. The Montgomerys had even sent a note of gratitude for her outstanding service. As Emily prepared to leave, she spotted Connors pacing near the pool area, his face flushed with irritation. He didn't acknowledge her as she passed, but she noticed a group of children playing unattended near the deep end of the pool. Emily hesitated, her instincts urging her to stay. A faint splash and a high-pitched scream shattered the calm. Emily's heart leaped as she turned toward the pool. A small child, no older than 4, was flailing in the water, his tiny hands barely breaking the surface. The adults nearby were frozen, unsure of what to do. Without hesitation, Emily dropped her bag and sprinted toward the pool. Her training and instincts kicked in as she dove into the water, her uniform weighing her down, but her resolve pushing her forward. The child's frantic movements made it difficult, but Emily managed to grab him and pull him to safety. Laying the boy gently on the pool deck, she began administering CPR, her own heart pounding in her chest. The child's mother sobbed uncontrollably nearby, while onlookers crowded around, their murmurs filling the air. After what felt like an eternity, the boy coughed and began to cry. Relief washed over Emily as she handed him over to his mother, who hugged him tightly. "You saved him," the woman whispered through her tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Emily nodded, her own emotions threatening to overwhelm her. But before she could process the moment, Connors stormed over, his face a mask of fury. "What were you thinking?" he hissed. "You abandoned your post and created a scene. Do you have any idea how this reflects on the hotel?" Emily stared at him in disbelief. "Sir, the child was drowning. I had to act." "No excuses. Your recklessness could have cost us our reputation." Connors interrupted, his voice rising. "Consider this your last day. You're fired." The words hit Emily like a punch to the gut. The gratitude of the boy's parents, the relief of saving a life, all of it vanished under the weight of Connor's cruel decision. Tears threatened to spill, but Emily held her head high as she walked back to the staff room to collect her belongings. She could feel the eyes of her coworkers on her, a mix of sympathy and outrage. Carla caught up with her, her face flushed with anger. "This is insane, Emily. You saved a child's life. How can he do this to you?" "I don't know," Emily said softly, her voice breaking. "But I couldn't just stand by and do nothing." As Emily left the hotel for the last time, she vowed that this wouldn't be the end of her story. Little did she know, the truth about what had happened was already beginning to spread, and it would change everything. The ripple effect. The late evening air was heavy as Emily walked home, her wet uniform clinging to her skin. Her thoughts churned, replaying the events of the day. The weight of being fired pressed down on her chest, but her conscience remained clear. She had saved a life. How could that be wrong? When she reached her small apartment, Emily hesitated at the door. Her mother and brother depended on her, and the news of her dismissal would be devastating. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open and was greeted by her mother's warm smile. "Welcome home, sweetheart. You're late today," Margaret said, wheeling herself into the small kitchen to serve dinner. Ethan glanced up from his laptop, his eyes tired but full of curiosity. "Yeah, late night?" Ethan asked. Emily forced a smile. "Something like that. Let me get changed first." Once in her room, she stared at her reflection in the mirror, her mind racing. She didn't want to add to her family's worries, but they needed to know. Bracing herself, she returned to the kitchen and sat down at the table. "Mom, Ethan, something happened at work today," she began, her voice steady but strained. Margaret's smile faltered. "What is it, honey?" "I was let go," Emily said, the words tasting bitter as they left her mouth. "What?" Ethan exclaimed, nearly knocking over his glass of water. "Why?" You're one of their best employees." Emily explained the incident at the pool, recounting every detail. Margaret listened intently, her eyes growing misty as Emily described saving the little boy. "You did the right thing, Emily," Margaret said firmly. "If they can't see that, it's their loss. We'll figure this out together." Ethan, on the other hand, was fuming. "This is ridiculous. They fired you for saving a kid. That manager of yours is a complete." "Ethan," Margaret interjected, giving him a pointed look. "Sorry, Mom, but it's true," Ethan snapped. He turned to Emily. "You can't let them get away with this. You should fight back." Emily shook her head. "It's not that simple, Ethan. Jobs like this are hard to come by, and I can't afford to make enemies in the industry." Margaret reached across the table and took Emily's hand. "You have a good heart, Emily. Don't let this discourage you. We'll get through it." The next morning, Emily woke up to a flurry of messages on her phone. Carla had sent several texts, along with a link to a local news article. "Carla, Emily, you won't believe this. The parents of that boy are furious about what happened to you. They've gone to the press." Emily clicked on the link, her heart pounding. The headline read, "Hotel employee fired after saving child's life. Parents demand justice." The article detailed the incident, including statements from the boy's parents, Emma and Richard Davis. "Emily Harper is a hero," Emma Davis was quoted as saying. "She didn't hesitate to save our son, even at the risk of her own job. For the hotel to fire her is not only unjust but outrageous. We demand an explanation." Emily's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from Carla. "Emily, did you see the article?" Carla asked, her voice bubbling with excitement. "I did. I don't know what to say," Emily admitted. "You don't have to say anything. The whole staff is talking about it. Even some guests overheard and are asking questions. You've got people on your side. Emily, this isn't over." Later that day, Emily received an unexpected visitor. Emma and Richard Davis stood at her door, their expressions a mix of gratitude and determination. "Miss Harper, I hope we're not intruding," Richard said. "We wanted to thank you again for saving our son, and we also wanted to apologize for what happened afterward. It's appalling." Emma stepped forward, holding a neatly wrapped gift. "We brought this for you, a small token of our gratitude." Emily accepted the gift, a beautifully crafted bracelet with a tiny charm in the shape of a star. She smiled through the tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you, but you don't owe me anything. I just did what anyone would do," Emily said. Emma shook her head. "No, not everyone would have done what you did. And firing you for it, that's something we can't accept. We've already reached out to the hotel's owner, Mr. Sterling. He's promised to review the security footage personally." Emily's stomach knotted at the mention of the hotel's reclusive owner, Robert Sterling. Known for his philanthropy and high standards, he rarely involved himself in day-to-day operations. If he was looking into the incident, it could mean major repercussions, for better or worse. Meanwhile, back at the Sapphire Heights Hotel, Connors was facing the fallout of his hasty decision. Guests had begun complaining about the incident, questioning the hotel's ethics and demanding answers. The staff whispered about how unfairly Emily had been treated, and a few had even refused to speak to Connors altogether. In his corner office on the top floor, Robert Sterling watched the security footage of the pool incident with a grim expression. He saw Emily's quick response, her determination to save the boy, and the gratitude of his parents. Then he watched Connors berating her and firing her on the spot. Sterling leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled. This wasn't just a PR nightmare. It was a breach of the values he had worked hard to instill in his company. A few days later, Emily received another unexpected call. "Ms. Harper, this is Robert Sterling. I'd like to meet with you to discuss what happened." Emily's breath caught in her throat. "Of course, Mr. Sterling. When would be convenient for you?" "Tomorrow morning, at the hotel. My assistant will send you the details," he replied. The next morning, Emily stood in front of the Sapphire Heights Hotel once again, this time as a visitor rather than an employee. She took a deep breath and walked inside, feeling a mix of nerves and curiosity. Marco, the doorman, greeted her warmly. "Welcome back, Emily. Everyone's rooting for you." Emily smiled, grateful for his support, and made her way to the top floor. Sterling's assistant led her into his spacious office, where the man himself stood waiting. "Ms. Harper," he said, extending a hand. "Thank you for coming." "Thank you for having me, Mr. Sterling," Emily replied, shaking his hand. Sterling gestured for her to sit. "I've reviewed the footage and spoken to several staff members, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Davis. Let me start by saying you acted courageously. What you did was commendable, and I deeply regret how the situation was handled afterward." Emily's eyes widened. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot. I'd like to offer you your job back, with a promotion to senior concierge," Sterling continued. "Additionally, I'll be addressing the conduct of certain members of management." Emily's heart soared, but she kept her tone measured. "I'm honored by the offer, Mr. Sterling. I accept on the condition that the staff receives proper training in emergency protocols. No one else should face what I did for doing the right thing." Sterling nodded, impressed. "Consider it done. Welcome back, Miss Harper." As Emily left the office, her steps felt lighter. She had stood up for what was right, and it had paid off. This wasn't just a victory for her. It was a reminder that courage and integrity could triumph, even in the face of adversity. The winds of change. The following morning, Emily returned to the Sapphire Heights Hotel, this time as a senior concierge. The feeling of walking through those revolving doors again was surreal. A part of her felt vindicated, yet another part remained cautious. She had learned that justice wasn't always straightforward, and her new position came with challenges she couldn't yet foresee. The lobby hummed with its usual vibrancy. Guests wheeled suitcases across the polished marble floors, staff bustled efficiently, and the air smelled faintly of fresh flowers from the giant bouquet centerpiece. Marco greeted her with a grin. "Back where you belong, Emily. And about time, too," he said, tipping his cap. "Thanks, Marco. It's good to see you," she replied, her smile genuine but reserved. Emily headed to the staff room, where Carla was waiting for her with open arms. "You're a legend, Emily," Carla exclaimed, pulling her into a tight hug. "Everyone's been talking about you. I knew you'd come back stronger." "Thanks, Carla. I'm just glad it's over," Emily said, though she knew deep down that the real work was only beginning. As Emily settled into her new role, she immediately noticed the shift in dynamics. Her responsibilities now extended beyond assisting guests. She was also tasked with training junior staff, managing schedules, and ensuring the highest standards of service were maintained. Her first challenge came sooner than expected. Just after her lunch break, she received a message from Robert Sterling's assistant, requesting a meeting in his office. Her stomach twisted as she made her way to the top floor. "Ms. Harper," Sterling began as she entered. His demeanor was calm but serious. "I wanted to discuss a broader issue within the hotel. Your incident highlighted certain failings in our management structure, specifically the actions of Mr. Connors." Emily nodded, unsure where the conversation was headed. "I've decided to let Mr. Connors go," Sterling continued. "His behavior was unacceptable and inconsistent with the values of this establishment. I'd like your input on improving staff relations and emergency preparedness. You've demonstrated exceptional leadership under pressure, and I believe your insights could be invaluable." Emily was momentarily stunned. The idea of contributing to the hotel's policies felt both empowering and daunting. "Thank you, sir. I'd be happy to help. I think better training for both staff and management would make a big difference," Emily said, her voice steady despite her nerves. Sterling smiled faintly. "Exactly what I was hoping you'd say. Let's work on this together." With Connors gone, a wave of relief swept through the hotel staff. Though some remained wary of the changes, many welcomed Emily's promotion, and the prospect of a more supportive work environment. Carla was particularly excited. "This place is already feeling different," Carla said as they reorganized the front desk area. "I heard Sterling's planning a big staff meeting to announce new policies." "That's all because of you, Emily." Emily laughed lightly. "It's not just me, Carla. Everyone deserves to feel respected and valued at work. I'm just glad we're moving in the right direction." Later that week, Emily's resolve was tested once more. The Montgomery family, the VIP guests she had assisted before the incident, were still staying at the hotel. Their son, Peter, had recovered well from the near drowning, and the family had remained vocal in their support for Emily. One evening, as Emily was about to finish her shift, Laura Montgomery approached the front desk. "Emily, could I have a word?" Laura asked, her tone warm but serious. "Of course, Mrs. Montgomery. How can I help?" Emily replied, her professional demeanor intact. Laura glanced around to ensure privacy before speaking. "I wanted to thank you again for saving Peter. I can't imagine what would have happened if you hadn't been there. But I also wanted to talk about something else." Emily tilted her head slightly, curious. "We've been watching how you handle yourself, your poise, your professionalism, and the way you interact with people. My husband and I run a foundation focused on empowering young leaders in hospitality and customer service. We think you'd be a perfect fit for one of our mentorship programs," Laura said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Emily blinked, caught off guard. "That's incredibly generous, Mrs. Montgomery. I'm honored, but—" "No buts," Laura interrupted gently. "You have a gift, Emily, and we want to help you take it further. Think about it. There's no rush." As Laura walked away, Emily felt a surge of emotion. For so long, she had put her dreams on hold to support her family. Could this be the opportunity she had been waiting for? Over the next few days, Emily threw herself into her work, using her new position to implement small but meaningful changes. She introduced a buddy system for new staff, ensuring they had a mentor to guide them. She also started hosting weekly feedback sessions, where employees could voice concerns and share ideas. One afternoon during a particularly hectic shift, Emily noticed a young receptionist struggling with a difficult guest. The man's voice was raised, and the receptionist's hands trembled as she tried to explain the hotel's policies. Emily stepped in calmly. "Good afternoon, sir. Is there something I can assist you with?" The man turned to her, still bristling. "Yes, this is unacceptable. I booked a room with a city view, and this closet you've given me is ridiculous. I understand your frustration, sir. Let me personally check our availability and see what we can do to accommodate you," Emily said, her tone soothing. Within minutes, she had resolved the issue, upgrading the guest to a suite at no extra charge. The man left satisfied, and the young receptionist looked at Emily with gratitude. "Thank you, Ms. Harper. I didn't know what to do," she said softly. Emily smiled. "It's all part of the job. But remember, staying calm and confident makes all the difference. You're doing great." As the weeks passed, Emily began to see the fruits of her labor. The hotel staff was more united. Guest satisfaction scores were improving, and even Robert Sterling seemed impressed by the positive changes. One evening, as she walked home under the glow of the city's streetlights, Emily allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. Her journey had been anything but easy, but she had come out stronger on the other side. When she reached her apartment, Ethan greeted her with excitement. "Emily, guess what? I got an email from the Montgomery Foundation. They're offering me a scholarship." Emily's jaw dropped. "What? How?" Ethan grinned. "They said it's thanks to you. They want to support our family because of everything you've done." Tears filled Emily's eyes as she hugged her brother tightly. For the first time in a long time, she felt like her sacrifices were paying off. As she lay in bed that night, Emily's mind drifted to Laura Montgomery's offer. Maybe it was time to start thinking about her own dreams again. After all, she had spent so long lifting others up. Perhaps now it was her turn to soar. Embracing new horizons, the sun peeked over the skyline, casting a golden hue across the city as Emily stood on her apartment balcony, a steaming cup of coffee warming her hands. The morning air was crisp, carrying with it a sense of renewal. She gazed out at the bustling streets below, her mind awash with possibilities. The Montgomerys' offers had opened doors she never imagined possible, and the idea of stepping through them both excited and terrified her. A soft knock on her bedroom door pulled her from her thoughts. Ethan poked his head in, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Morning, sis. Guess who's officially enrolled for the fall semester?" he announced, waving an acceptance letter. Emily's face lit up. "Ethan, that's fantastic. I'm so proud of you." He joined her on the balcony, leaning against the railing. "I couldn't have done it without you, you know. And the scholarship from the Montgomery Foundation is a game changer." She smiled, nudging him playfully. "Well, you earned it with your hard work. I'm just glad I could help in some way." Ethan grew serious for a moment. "Speaking of the Montgomerys, have you given any more thought to their offer? The mentorship program sounds like an amazing opportunity." Emily sighed softly. "I have. It's just, I've been so focused on taking care of things here. Mom, you, work. I guess I've been afraid to think about what I want." Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You deserve this, Emily. You've spent so much time helping everyone else. It's okay to do something for yourself." That day at the hotel, Emily found herself lost in thought between assisting guests and coordinating with the staff. She had scheduled a meeting with Robert Sterling to discuss the implementation of new training programs, a task she found both daunting and exhilarating. The staff morale had improved noticeably, and guests were leaving glowing reviews, praising the personalized service and warm atmosphere. As she approached Sterling's office, she felt a familiar flutter of nerves. Taking a deep breath, she knocked and waited for his invitation to enter. "Ah, Emily, right on time," Sterling greeted her, gesturing to a chair. "Please, have a seat." "Thank you, Mr. Sterling," she replied, settling into the plush leather. "I've reviewed your proposal for the staff training initiatives." "Impressive work," he began, tapping a folder on his desk. "I particularly like the emphasis on empathy and proactive problem-solving." Emily nodded. "I believe that when staff feel empowered and valued, they're more likely to go above and beyond for our guests. It creates a positive cycle." "Agreed," Sterling said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "I'd like to move forward with this. We'll need to schedule training sessions and perhaps bring in external experts for certain modules." "Actually," Emily interjected carefully, "I have a contact who might be able to help with that." Laura Montgomery mentioned that her foundation offers training programs for hospitality professionals. She extended an offer for me to participate in their mentorship program. Sterling raised an eyebrow. "The Montgomery Foundation is highly regarded. Are you considering accepting their offer?" "I am," Emily admitted. "I think it could be beneficial not just for me, but for the hotel as well. I could bring back what I learn and apply it here." Sterling leaned back, his gaze thoughtful. "An investment in your development would indeed be an asset to us. Tell you what, if you decide to pursue this, the hotel will support you. Consider it a partnership." Emily's eyes widened. "That's incredibly generous, sir. Thank you." "Don't mention it. You've proven your dedication and capability." "It's the least we can do," he replied. Later that evening, Emily met with Laura Montgomery at a quaint cafe near the hotel. The atmosphere was relaxed, with soft jazz playing in the background and the aroma of fresh pastries filling the air. "Emily, it's so good to see you," Laura greeted her warmly. "Have you thought any more about our offer?" "I have," Emily said, stirring her tea thoughtfully. "And I'd like to accept. But I want to ensure that I can balance it with my responsibilities at the hotel and to my family." Laura smiled. "Of course. The mentorship program is designed to be flexible. We can tailor it to fit your schedule. Our goal is to help you grow, not overwhelm you. Relief washed over Emily. That sounds perfect. I appreciate your understanding. Excellent. We'll start with a personalized development plan, Laura explained. You'll have access to industry experts, leadership workshops, and networking opportunities. I believe you'll find it quite enriching. As they delved into the details, Emily felt a sense of excitement building. The program was more comprehensive than she had imagined, covering not just hospitality management, but also business strategy, ethics, and innovation. One more thing, Laura added, her tone turning more personal. We've been impressed by your character and values. Our foundation is launching a new initiative focused on community outreach and social responsibility within the hospitality industry. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Emily's interest piqued. What does that entail? We're partnering with local shelters and youth programs to provide training and job opportunities. It's about giving back and creating pathways for those who might not otherwise have them, Laura explained. The idea resonated deeply with Emily. She had always wanted to make a difference beyond her immediate sphere. I'd be honored to contribute. Wonderful. I think this is the beginning of something impactful, Laura said, raising her cup in a toast. In the weeks that followed, Emily juggled her responsibilities with newfound vigor. Her days were packed but fulfilling. Morning shifts at the hotel, afternoons spent in mentorship sessions, and evenings brainstorming ideas for the Foundation's community initiative. One afternoon, during a mentorship workshop on leadership ethics, Emily listened intently as the speaker discussed the importance of integrity and empathy in management. The words struck a chord, reminding her of her own experiences with Connors and how a lack of those qualities had affected the entire hotel staff. During a break, she struck up a conversation with the speaker, a seasoned hospitality executive named Daniel Sinclair. Mr. Sinclair, I was particularly interested in your thoughts on transformational leadership, Emily began. Please, call me Daniel, he replied warmly. And yes, it's a topic I'm passionate about. Do you have experiences you'd like to share? Emily hesitated briefly before recounting her story. The incident at the pool, her dismissal, and eventual reinstatement. Daniel listened attentively, his expression thoughtful. That's quite a journey, he said, and it highlights a critical point. Leadership isn't just about policies and profits. It's about people. Your actions saved a life and ultimately led to positive changes in your organization. Thank you, Emily said. I suppose I hadn't thought about it that way. Have you considered that you might have a future in leadership beyond your current role? Daniel asked. Emily smiled modestly. I'm open to the possibilities. I want to make a difference, wherever that may lead. Daniel nodded. Keep that mindset. The industry needs more leaders like you. Back at the hotel, Emily's initiatives were gaining momentum. She implemented a mentorship program within the staff, pairing seasoned employees with newcomers to foster a supportive environment. She also started organizing monthly community service days, where staff could volunteer together at local charities. One day, while coordinating a donation drive for a nearby youth center, Emily received an unexpected call from Robert Sterling. Emily, could you come to my office at your earliest convenience? He asked. Of course, Mr. Sterling. I'll be right up, she replied, wondering what it could be about. When she arrived, she found not only Sterling but also a group of executives seated around the conference table. Please, have a seat, Sterling said. We were just discussing the recent improvements in staff performance and guest satisfaction. Your name came up quite a bit. Emily sat down cautiously. I'm glad to hear the changes have been positive. More than positive, one of the executives chimed in. We've seen a significant uptick in repeat bookings and positive reviews. Guests are mentioning the personal touch and warm atmosphere they've experienced. Sterling leaned forward. Emily, we believe your contributions have been instrumental. We'd like to offer you the position of Assistant Director of Guest Services. Emily's breath caught. Assistant Director. That's an incredible offer. You've earned it, Sterling said simply. Your vision aligns with where we want to take the hotel. We need leaders who can inspire others and drive meaningful change. Emotion welled up within her. I'm honored, truly. I accept. That evening, as Emily shared the news with her family, the apartment was filled with joy. Assistant Director. Emily, that's amazing, Ethan exclaimed. Margaret beamed with pride. You've worked so hard for this. Your father would be so proud. Emily's eyes glistened. I couldn't have done it without your support. This is as much for us as it is for me. Ethan raised a glass of sparkling cider. To Emily, the best sister and the newest assistant director in town. They clinked glasses, laughter and warmth filling the room. In her new role, Emily faced a fresh set of challenges. She was now responsible for overseeing not just the concierge team but the entire guest services department. There were budgets to manage, strategic plans to develop, and a staff of over 50 people looking to her for guidance. One of her first initiatives was to conduct a comprehensive review of the guest experience from check-in to check-out. She gathered feedback from guests and staff alike, identifying areas for improvement and opportunities to exceed expectations. During a department meeting, Emily stood before her team, her confidence evident. I want us to think about our guests not just as customers, but as our guests in the truest sense, she began. Let's anticipate their needs, personalize their experiences, and make them feel at home. A hand went up in the back. It was James, a veteran bellhop. Emily, how do you suggest we handle guests who are particularly demanding? He asked with a hint of skepticism. She smiled knowingly. By understanding that every guest has their own story, sometimes a little patience and empathy go a long way. And when we support each other as a team, those challenges become much more manageable. The staff murmured in agreement, and James nodded thoughtfully. As the months passed, the Sapphire Heights Hotel began to garner attention not just from guests, but also from industry insiders. Articles appeared in hospitality magazines praising the hotel's exceptional service and innovative staff programs. One day, while reviewing reports in her office, Emily received a call from Daniel Sinclair. Emily, I have an opportunity I think you'd be perfect for, he said. Oh, what's that? She asked, intrigued. The International Hospitality Conference is coming up, and we're looking for speakers to share insights on leadership and staff empowerment. I'd like you to present your experiences. Emily was taken aback. Me? Speak at an international conference? Absolutely. Your story is compelling, and your results speak for themselves. Think about it, Daniel encouraged. After some consideration and encouragement from both Sterling and Laura Montgomery, Emily agreed. On the day of the conference, Emily stood backstage, her nerves tingling. She had prepared extensively, but the reality of speaking before hundreds of industry leaders was daunting. Laura found her moments before she was due on stage. You'll be fantastic, she assured her. Just speak from the heart. Taking a deep breath, Emily stepped onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinding her. As she began to speak, her confidence grew. Good afternoon. My name is Emily Harper, and I'd like to share with you a journey of transformation. Not just my own, but that of a team, a hotel, and a community, she began. She spoke about the importance of empathy and leadership, the power of giving staff a voice, and how creating a supportive culture could lead to exceptional guest experiences. She shared anecdotes, lessons learned, and practical strategies. By the time she concluded, the audience was on their feet, applauding enthusiastically. After the conference, Emily was approached by numerous attendees, hoteliers, executives, and aspiring leaders, each eager to learn more or share their own stories. Your speech was inspiring, one woman said. I've been struggling to implement similar changes at my hotel, but you've given me hope. Thank you, Emily replied sincerely. If you'd like, we can connect and discuss strategies that might work for you. As she left the venue, her phone buzzed with a message from Ethan. "Ethan, just watched your speech online. You're amazing. So proud of you." She smiled, her heart full. That night, back at the hotel, Emily found a quiet moment on the rooftop terrace, overlooking the city lights. Robert Sterling joined her, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. "I wanted to congratulate you," he said, handing her a glass. "Your presentation was exceptional." "Thank you, Mr. Sterling, and thank you for believing in me," she replied. He raised his glass. "To your continued success. I have no doubt that this is just the beginning for you." They clinked glasses, the sound ringing softly against the backdrop of the city. As Emily gazed out over the skyline, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The path had not been easy, but every challenge had led her here. She thought of her family, her colleagues, and all the people who had supported her along the way. Her journey was far from over, but she was ready for whatever came next. With passion in her heart and determination in her soul, Emily embraced the future, knowing that she had the power to make a lasting impact, not just in her own life, but in the lives of others as well, building bridges and breaking barriers. The next morning, Emily awoke to a flood of congratulatory messages. Her speech at the International Hospitality Conference had gone viral, shared widely on social media and hospitality networks. Colleagues from across the globe praised her insights and celebrated her journey. For the first time, Emily realized that her story had become more than just her own. It was now a source of inspiration for others. At the Sapphire Heights Hotel, Emily was greeted with an enthusiastic round of applause as she walked into the staff meeting room. Carla, ever the cheerleader, waved a printed article about Emily's speech, grinning ear to ear. "Look at our celebrity," Carla teased, handing her the printout. The headline read, "Rising Star Emily Harper Redefines Leadership in Hospitality." Emily blushed. "I didn't do it alone. This is a reflection of all of us, our teamwork and resilience." Robert Sterling, who had been watching from the back of the room, stepped forward. "While that's true, Emily, your leadership has been pivotal. Your vision has not only transformed this hotel, but also set a new standard for the industry." He turned to address the staff. "This recognition isn't just about one person. It's about the culture we're building here. And I have Emily to thank for spearheading that effort." As the meeting ended, Emily returned to her office to find an email from the Montgomery Foundation. The subject line read, "Exciting Opportunity. A New Chapter in Hospitality." She clicked it open, her curiosity piqued. The message was from Laura Montgomery, inviting her to co-lead the Foundation's newest project, an initiative to provide training and mentorship to underprivileged young adults interested in hospitality careers. Emily's pulse quickened as she read. The program would operate out of several major cities, offering workshops, internships, and scholarships. Laura's note concluded with, "We believe you're uniquely positioned to guide this project. Your story exemplifies the resilience and leadership we want to inspire in others." It was a dream opportunity, but it also meant stepping away from her role at the Sapphire Heights Hotel. Emily leaned back in her chair, conflicted. She loved her team and the work they were doing, but this new role promised a chance to make an even broader impact. That evening, Emily sought advice from her family over dinner. The small apartment was filled with the comforting aroma of roasted vegetables and baked chicken, and the 3 of them, Emily, her mother Margaret, and Ethan, sat around the table, talking animatedly. "Wow," Ethan said, his fork pausing midair. "That sounds incredible, Emily. You'd be helping so many people." Margaret nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. "You've always been a caregiver, Emily. This sounds like it's right in your wheelhouse. But will it mean moving away?" Emily hesitated. "Possibly. The project would require travel, and I'd need to be based in one of their hub cities, most likely New York or Los Angeles." The table fell silent for a moment. Then Ethan spoke up, his voice steady. "You've given everything for us, Emily. It's time you did something for yourself, Mom, and I will be okay." Margaret reached across the table to squeeze Emily's hand. "We'll always be proud of you, no matter where you are." The next morning, Emily met with Robert Sterling to discuss the offer. She found him seated in his office, reviewing plans for the hotel's upcoming expansion. "Emily, come in," he said, gesturing for her to sit. "I've heard from Laura Montgomery about their latest initiative. I assume you've been approached." "Yes," Emily admitted. "It's an incredible opportunity, but I didn't want to make any decisions without discussing it with you first." Sterling leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "You've been an extraordinary asset to this hotel, Emily. I won't deny that losing you would be difficult. But this opportunity aligns perfectly with your strengths and passions. It's a chance to create something lasting." Emily smiled, grateful for his understanding. "Thank you, Mr. Sterling. That means a lot. There's one thing I'd like to propose," he added. "If you choose to take this role, I'd like to partner with the Montgomery Foundation. Sapphire Heights would sponsor a portion of their training programs and offer internships to participants. It would allow us to stay connected to the initiative and support your work." Emily's eyes lit up. "That's a fantastic idea. I'll bring it up with Laura." In the weeks that followed, Emily began transitioning out of her role at the hotel while preparing for her new position. She worked closely with Robert Sterling and the Montgomery Foundation to finalize the partnership, ensuring a seamless collaboration between the two organizations. During her last week at Sapphire Heights, the staff organized a surprise farewell party. The hotel's event space was transformed into a celebration of Emily's journey, complete with balloons, banners, and a slideshow of memorable moments. Carla took the microphone, her voice breaking slightly as she spoke. "Emily, you've been more than a colleague. You've been a mentor, a leader, and a friend. We're going to miss you, but we're so proud of you." Emily fought back tears as she addressed the room. "This isn't goodbye. It's see you later. The work we've done here will always be a part of me, and I hope to carry it forward in my new role. Thank you for everything." Emily's first day at the Montgomery Foundation's headquarters was a whirlwind of meetings, introductions, and planning sessions. The Foundation's offices were sleek and modern, with an open layout that fostered collaboration. Laura Montgomery greeted her with a warm hug and a tour of the facility. "This is where it all begins," Laura said, leading Emily to her new office. "We've already lined up partnerships with hotels across the country, and the first cohort of trainees will begin in 3 months." Emily spent her days developing curriculum, recruiting mentors, and visiting local organizations to identify potential participants. She also traveled frequently, meeting with hotel managers and corporate leaders to secure support for the initiative. One of the most rewarding aspects of Emily's new role was meeting the young adults in the program. Many came from challenging backgrounds, their lives marked by hardship and uncertainty. But they shared a common thread, a desire to build better futures for themselves. During a workshop in Chicago, Emily spoke to a group of trainees about her own journey. She shared stories of her struggles and triumphs, emphasizing the importance of perseverance and self-belief. "You don't have to be perfect," she told them. "You just have to be willing to learn and grow. Opportunities will come, but it's up to you to seize them." A young woman named Jasmine raised her hand. "How did you keep going when things got tough?" Emily smiled. "I reminded myself of why I started. For me, it was my family. Find your why, and hold on to it. It'll keep you grounded." Months turned into a year, and the program flourished under Emily's leadership. Hundreds of young adults completed the training, many going on to secure jobs in prestigious hotels. The partnership with Sapphire Heights became a cornerstone of the initiative, offering participants hands-on experience in a world-class environment. One evening, Emily received an email from Robert Sterling. Attached was a photo of a young man in a Sapphire Heights uniform, beaming as he greeted a guest. Subject: Full Circle. Emily. Meet Marcus, one of your first trainees. He's thriving here, Thanks to your program. Thought you'd like to see the impact you're making. Robert. Emily stared at the photo, her heart swelling with pride. She forwarded the email to her mother and Ethan, adding her own note. This is what it's all about. As she sat in her office that night, overlooking the city lights, Emily reflected on how far she had come. The path hadn't been easy, but it had led her to a place where she could create real, lasting change. And this was only the beginning, a legacy of impact. Emily Harper stood on the stage of a grand ballroom in New York City, the centerpiece of the Montgomery Foundation's annual gala. The event was a culmination of her work over the past 2 years, bringing together industry leaders, philanthropists, and program graduates to celebrate the transformative impact of their initiatives. The room glittered with chandeliers, and the buzz of excitement filled the air as guests awaited her speech. She took a deep breath, her heart swelling with gratitude and purpose as she stepped up to the podium. The applause that greeted her was thunderous, a testament to the lives she had touched and the change she had sparked. "Good evening," Emily began, her voice steady but emotional. "When I started my journey in hospitality, I could never have imagined standing here today. Back then, my goals were simple: provide for my family and do my job to the best of my ability. But life has a way of guiding us to where we're meant to be, often in ways we don't expect." She paused, glancing at the faces in the audience, industry veterans, graduates of the training program, and her family, seated proudly in the front row. This program is about more than just training. It's about unlocking potential. It's about showing young people that their circumstances don't define their future, that with the right guidance and opportunities, they can achieve greatness. The audience erupted into applause, and Emily smiled, her confidence bolstered. "Tonight, I want to share the story of someone who embodies the spirit of this program. Marcus Williams was part of our first cohort. He came to us unsure of his path but determined to create a better life. Today, Marcus is a team leader at Sapphire Heights, mentoring others and paving the way for their success. Marcus, please stand." A young man in the crowd rose to his feet, his face glowing with pride as the room cheered. Emily's heart swelled as she watched him, living proof of what their work could achieve. After the gala, Emily mingled with the attendees, accepting congratulations and engaging in conversations about future initiatives. Laura Montgomery approached her, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "You've outdone yourself tonight," Laura said, handing Emily a glass. "The program's success is a reflection of your vision and leadership." Emily clinked her glass against Laura's. "Thank you, Laura. But I couldn't have done it without the incredible team and partners we've built." "Well, get ready for even bigger things," Laura said with a smile. "We're expanding the program internationally. I'd like you to lead the charge." Emily's eyes widened. "Internationally? That's incredible. But it's also a huge step." Laura nodded. "It is, but you're ready. You've proven time and again that you can handle challenges and turn them into opportunities. Think about it, Emily. No rush." Back at her apartment that night, Emily sat at her desk, reviewing the program's milestones. Photos of smiling graduates and testimonials filled the screen of her laptop. Each story represented a life changed, a barrier broken. As she reflected, her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "Ethan, saw the live stream of your speech. You were amazing, Mom, and I couldn't be prouder." Emily smiled, typing back a quick reply. Ethan was now thriving in his studies, and their mother's health had stabilized. Knowing they were doing well gave Emily the peace of mind to consider the next chapter of her journey. The following week, Emily traveled to London to meet with potential partners for the program's expansion. She toured training centers, met with local educators, and attended a roundtable discussion on global hospitality trends. The trip was exhilarating, but it also highlighted the complexities of scaling an initiative across different cultures and markets. During her visit, she was introduced to Amara Okoye, the founder of a grassroots organization that trained women in underserved communities for hospitality roles. Amara's passion and commitment resonated deeply with Emily. "Our goals align perfectly," Emily said during their meeting. "Let's collaborate. Your expertise would be invaluable as we expand." Amara agreed, and the partnership became a cornerstone of the program's international phase. Months later, the global expansion was officially launched. The program now operated in 5 countries, with plans to add more. Emily spent her days traveling between cities, meeting participants, and ensuring the program's core values were upheld. One memorable visit took her to Mumbai, where she met a young man named Arav. He had grown up in a small village, dreaming of a career in hospitality but lacking the resources to pursue it. Through the program, Arav not only gained the skills he needed, but also secured a job at a luxury hotel in the city. "You've given me more than a career," Arav told Emily during her visit. "You've given me confidence and hope." Emily felt a lump in her throat. Moments like these reaffirmed her purpose and fueled her drive. Despite her demanding schedule, Emily stayed connected to her roots. She made regular visits to Sapphire Heights, mentoring new staff and catching up with old friends. Carla, now a department manager, always greeted her with excitement. "You haven't changed a bit," Carla teased during one visit. "Still making waves wherever you go." Emily laughed. "And you're still holding down the fort here. I wouldn't expect anything less." In time, Emily's work garnered widespread recognition. She was invited to speak at global forums, awarded for her contributions to the industry, and featured in publications celebrating her leadership. But through it all, she remained grounded, never forgetting the struggles that had shaped her journey. One evening, after a particularly fulfilling day, Emily returned to her hotel room in Paris, where she was attending a conference. She sat by the window, looking out at the Eiffel Tower glowing against the night sky. Her phone buzzed with a video message from Marcus. "Hey, Emily," Marcus began, his smile infectious. "Just wanted to let you know. We've started our own mentorship program here at Sapphire Heights. You inspired us. Thank you for everything." Emily's eyes filled with tears as she replayed the message. It was a reminder that her impact extended far beyond what she could see. Years later, Emily stood in a different ballroom, this time at an event celebrating her retirement. The room was filled with friends, family, colleagues, and graduates of the program. The atmosphere was one of love and admiration for a woman who had dedicated her life to lifting others. Ethan, now a successful entrepreneur, gave a heartfelt toast. "Emily has always been our rock, our guide. She's shown us that compassion and hard work can change the world. Sis, you're a legend." As the room erupted in applause, Emily looked around, overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. Her mother, now frail but still radiant, held her hand tightly. "Your father would be so proud," Margaret whispered. Emily smiled, her heart full. She knew her journey had been one of growth, resilience, and purpose, and though she was stepping back, the legacy she had built would continue, carried forward by the countless lives she had touched. As the evening drew to a close, Emily stood by the window, watching the city lights twinkle. The road had been long and winding, but every step had been worth it. She had not only fulfilled her dreams, but had also helped others realize theirs. And that, she thought, was the greatest success of all.